So, when I was a little boy, about your age, Hannah, all these hills up here are covered with blueberries. And if I was going up picking blueberries, my grandfather would look at me. My grandfather would look at me and he would call me over like this. Look. He'd grab me by the shoulder. And he'd change his voice. He'd start to look over his shoulder and he'd pull me right in close. Are you going to pick blueberries now? And I'd say, yes, old daddy. My grandfather was, I call him old daddy. He'd say, yes, old daddy. He'd say, mind me now. When you go up there picking berries, if you hear any music, you calm down right away, won't you? Fast as you can. Don't listen to that music. Instead of be the fairies putting you in a trance. Come home now, old daddy. Then he put his hand in his pocket. And he'd take something out that looked like this. Have you got a pocket? You haven't got a pocket. Well, put it in your hand. He'd stuff it down in the bottom of my pocket. And here's what it would be. What is it? Hold your hand out so we can see what it is.
Fairy bread.
It's fairy bread. It's hard bread. It's hard bread. I wonder if I got any more hard bread. Any more hard bread around here?
There's some
look, here's some hard bread. He'd say to me now, if you hear any music, take that bread and you toss that bread like that. Run home because the fairies like the bread more than they like playing the music. So we run home down but don't go up without some of that bread in your mouth. So sit down and keep that bread. So it's right for you. Be up on the hills, we'd be up there, we'd be listening, right? You hear any music? Listen. You know something? A few times I thought I heard it. You know what I did right away, don't you? What did I do? What do you think I did? I ran back home to my grandfather. And you know something? When I ran home, the fairies didn't get me. Now I'm going to tell you a story about a man by the name of Tom Snow. He's an old man that used to come visit my grandfather, old daddy. And he used to tell the story about his father when his father was a little boy. His father's name was Tom Snow, so they had exactly the same name. And when Tom Snow was a little boy, there wasn't just one or two or three, there were actually 4 people with the name Tom Snow in Cupids. And in order to tell one from the other, they had nicknames. So we had Little Tom Snow, but he didn't have it. We had Big Tom, we had Grumpy Tom, and we had Silly Tom. So Little Tom was kind of sad because he didn't have a nickname. And you can't give yourself a nickname, can you? He was always wanting, always wishing for things he didn't have. He wanted to go up to the pond up here, right up behind this hill. There's a pond. You were on it the other day when we were up canoeing. And you saw the trout that are up there. Some of you saw a trout jumping right out of the pond. He wanted to go up there and catch the biggest trout up in Cupid's pond. That's what he wanted to do. So he took his bamboo one day, walked up over the side of the hill. There's a path that goes up there. There's lots of paths that go up to the side of the hill. And he looked down at the pond, and it was just like it was the other day. Everything was perfectly calm, and there were trout jumping all over the place. He said, now where am I going to try for a trout today? And do you remember I said there's a diving rock up there by the side of the pond? That's where he decided he was going to go. So he walked down to the side of the pond, took his pole, took out the worm on his hook, and stood up on the shoreline. He threw his line out in the pond. He waited to catch a trout. Pulled the line in. He pulled it in. What do you think he had? What? A what? No, he didn't have a fairy. He didn't have anything. He didn't have a trout. Nothing at all. He didn't even have a water snake. Nothing at all. So he said, you know, maybe I'm not out far enough. Maybe I need to step out on, maybe I need to step out on that rock. And so the rock was just off from the shoreline. So he steps out on the rock. Now the rock is a little tiny bit slippery, but he's very careful, right? He watches the trout out in the pond, puts the pole back on his shoulder, and he waits for the big one to rise. And he throws his line out, and he's certain he's going to get one this time. And as he pulls his line in, he got... What? He got nothing again. He's disappointed. He said, maybe I need to get my line out a little tiny bit further. So he moves out just a little tiny bit further on the rock, and he gets his toes, and he curls his toes right around the edge of the rock, pulls his pants up, gets his line ready, puts the pole back on his shoulder, and he waits for the trout to rise. He's waiting to find just a perfect one, and he thinks, there it is right there. And he switches, and he falls right out into the water. And he doesn't know how to swim. So he's out and he's swinging his arms around, he's kicking, help me, help! Help! He's hoping somebody's going to hear him. If you know who lives up around this pond, at that time, nobody, no houses, no people. He's hoping somebody else is up trouting. Help me! Help me! I don't want to drown! He thinks he hears something laughing behind him. Turns around, and up on the side of the cliff, right behind the rock, he sees a little man that looks just like that, crouched on the cliff, looking down at him. He looks at Tommy and he says, you're gonna drown, Tommy's gonna drown. I can help you, but you're gonna drown. Tommy's down in the water. He says, oh no, please, please, please help me. I don't want to drown. Mom! Mom! Please help me, he says, please. And the man looks down at him, starts to laugh at him again. I can help you, Tommy. But if I help you, what will you do for me? Tommy says, well, I'll give you something. I'll give you my pole. The little man looks at him and does this, look. Tommy says, well, I'll give you my pole and my worms. The little man shakes his head and says, no. Tommy says, oh, I'll give you something. I'll give you anything. The little man says, what? Anything? Say that again. Tommy says, I'll give you anything, anything. The little man says, okay, Tommy, we have a deal. And he jumps right down into it, scurries out over the top of the water, gets out where Tommy is, grabs him by the back of the neck, and takes Tommy and skirts him across the top of the water and throws him up on the shoreline.
That's okay.
So Tommy's lying down on the shoreline. He's coughing. And he thinks he hears people shouting, laughing, and singing. And what he puts his face up. He's on the shoreline. He puts his head up and he sees a little man, they're all in a circle. They're all going around and they're all laughing and singing. And Tommy thinks, well, they must be celebrating the fact that I've been saved because I'm saving you. But there's something he doesn't see. He doesn't see the little man. So he looks back towards the cliff, and the little man is sitting there again. And right next to the little man is a little man's cousin, a tiny boy. The little man is standing there and he looks down at Tommy. He says, Tommy! Tommy! Okay. Tommy says, yes, oh, thank you. Thank you for saving me. Oh, I'm so thank you. Little man says, now Tommy. Tommy! We had a deal, remember? Oh, Tommy says, yes, yeah. I have to give you something. Little man says, no, not something. You have to give me anything. Anything I want. Tommy says, okay, well, I can give you my pole. No, the little man says, I don't want your pole. I can give you my worm. No, the little man says, I don't want the worms in the pole. He says, do you see my little cousin? Tommy says, yes. He said, do you see the tears coming down? See the tears coming down his cheeks? The little cousin's cheeks are full of tears. He says, do you know why my little cousin is crying? Tommy says, he says, my cousin is crying because he cannot speak. He's mute. Tommy said, well, I'm sorry. There's not much I can do. Oh, the little man says, yes, there is something you can do. And he starts to stand up. He says, yes, Tommy, there is. Tommy says, what can I do? The little man says, well, Tommy, you said I could have anything I want. Tommy, look at me, Tommy. I want your voice. From my cousin. Tommy says, well, how can I give you my voice? Tommy, I want your voice from my little cousin. Tommy protests again and says, it's impossible. Tommy, I want your... There's a big flash. Big clap of thunder. Little people disappear. Man disappears. Cousin disappears. Everybody's gone. Tommy's sitting there on the shoreline and he's thinking, wow, that just really happened. He feels his clothes soaking wet. His boots are filled with water. That must have been water. He says, my mom's going to kill me. I'm so upset. So he leaves the pond and says, I better get home. And he walks to the top of the ridge. And as he gets to the top of the ridge, he looks back down towards his home. This is where he lived, right up here in the Riverhead section of Cupids. And as he looks back there, he sees a whole group of people walking towards him. So there's a man, about 10 feet away from that, there's another man, and then another 10 feet, there's another man. There's a big long string of men, all walking up the side of that ridge over there. And when they see Tommy, they take off and run over, and they say, Tommy, where have you been? You've been gone all day. And Tommy's thinking to himself, gone all day? I've only been gone a little while. Tommy, how are you? What happened to you? And Tommy says, not one sound comes out of Tommy's mouth. Not one sound. Doesn't seem to have any voice anymore. And the men are kind of puzzled by that. They figure, well, we better get Tommy back to his mouth. So they bring him down over the side of the hill. Bring him over on the back road where his mom is. Bring him in. They sit him down in the kitchen, and his mom and his grandmother, they're both there together. And when he comes in, little Tommy comes in and sits him down. His mom looks at him and says, Tommy, you little bugger, you've been gone all day, where were you? And he says, his mother looks at him and she's really puzzled by the fact that he can't speak. What's happened to his voice? His grandmother's there and she says, hang on a second. I have an idea. And she goes and she gets a writing pad and a pencil and she looks at Tommy and she asks him some questions. Tommy, where were you today? Tommy writes down on the pad that he was up at the pond. want something for saving you? Tommy nodded his head. His grandmother looks at him and said, what did she want? And Tommy does this with his finger. Look. Points to his voice and his tongue and his lips. She says, you were saved by the good people that would let you drown. You were saved by the fairies. And she does a small grief either way, isn't it? Right at the end, to give up your voice. You know, Tommy grew up to be a man, to a family, children of his own, and they still live here in Cupids Legacy Centre. But he never spoke another word from that day until the day he died. He was 82 years old when he died. So he got a wish that day. He got 2 wishes granted that day. Number 1, the first wish he got. The second wish he got was he got a nickname. Because from thereafter, he was never known as Little Tommy Snow anymore. In Cupids, Bigger John, Silly John, Monkey Tom, Little Tommy Snow was forever known as Tom Mute. The little Tom Snow who couldn't speak, who was saved by the fairies. He fell in Cupid's pond and almost drowned. And the fairy that saved him